Hey podcasters, it's great to have you on board for episode 4 of the XY Marketing series. In today's episode, Adrian sits down with the bright and bubbly Jenny Pearse, marketing extraordinaire, helping financial advisors build raving fans who then become their business ambassadors. Now, firstly, it's no surprise our episodes are pre-recorded before going live out into the ether. Just to keep you up to speed, this episode in particular was recorded earlier this year, but nonetheless, the topics discussed are still as relevant as ever as we dive into all things marketing with a dash of Royal Commission. Jenny says advisors need to stop getting distracted by the latest, but not always greatest marketing tech, and instead focus on understanding their clients better than anyone else, so they can then communicate with them effectively through the right marketing channels. Jenny throws some thought-provoking questions out to the advisor audience, and I particularly love how Jenny reinforces why advisors should be proud of the life-changing work they're doing and the power of mentors and tribes, just like XY. Thanks for tuning in. We love having you here and really hope you enjoy this episode as much as we did making it.
As you scale your advice business, are you frustrated with the amount of compliance, paperwork, and staffing issues? Virtual Business Partners specializes in helping financial services firms in 4 areas: admin, power planning, bookkeeping, and marketing. Virtual Business Partners work with you to get your business offshore ready. This includes identifying what tasks need to be done locally and what functions can be managed offshore. Advisors find they can reduce back office costs by between 50 and 75% and significantly improve their task turnaround times. For more information, go to virtualbusinesspartners.com.au.
Jenny Pearse.
Hi, how are you, Adrian?
Good. It's great to have you on.
Thank you for having me. It's been a while.
Yeah, we haven't caught up for a while.
I know. I was actually trying to think about it. It's been a while, but that's the advantage of social media. You never really not.
I always feel like
see.
I'm with you on social media, Jenny, as do a lot of people out there, I think.
Oh, well, likewise, Adrian, likewise.
Yeah, those Twitter conversations, I'm like, Jenny's having a great time.
Yeah, well, I am. I'm in love.
Is there a new man?
No, I'm in love with what I do. I really am. I'm kind of excited about 2019. I feel like the planets are aligning and the universe is okay.
From 2018,
Mm-hmm.
How was that for you?
2018, I think, for me, as in my own consulting business, was probably, it got sideswiped by the emotion, I think, of and the tolerance of the people that I work with. Just, I guess, the air was very polluted, and it was very hard to often get cut through, and concentration, and consistency in everything that I was doing and therefore everything that they were doing.
So is that like your clients' problems were really sort of feeding into your relationship with them?
Yeah. And I sort of, I got to the end of the year, and I guess, many of the clients that I work with, I've been working with for some time, and even the newer clients, there was so much emotion and so much stuff that was going on that it was kind of relaying onto me, like there was this transference, and because of the relationships that I have with these people, I was tending to take it on too much, and I got to the end of the year and I was like exhausted from it, and I thought, hang on a second, this is just so totally wrong. Not only for me is it not good for me, but it's also not good for them. They actually need me to not be that person.
So block that.
Yeah, so I guess I sort of stepped out and just did some coaching. Went back and had some coaching myself.
Okay.
Not in what I do, but more in just realigning my mindset. Just taking a bit of a time out to sort of get some clarity and focus back in what I actually want to do this year. And I don't know, I've just come back with enormous drive and excitement, because I actually think that there's a lot of opportunity, and the people that I'm working with can sense it, and so I guess that's relaying now back into them. So yeah, who's not?
Is there any
that?
key focuses that you're changing?
Yeah, look, I think that I'm a marketing girl through and through, And marketing is very much about communication, and I don't need to tell the XY Advisor boys that. But the reality is that I feel like over the last couple of years, with a lot of the tech, a lot of the events and things like that, it's come more about the widget and the where and the, and sort of how you use the widget and how do you do this and the latest tech and the latest this and the latest platform, that I had to strip it back and go, hang on a second, guys. It's creating the right universe for you in your business and with the people you want to work with. It's not because LinkedIn's about to bring out LinkedIn Live or Facebook's playing around with groups again. You don't even have a Facebook group, so why do we care?
There's a lot of distractions, isn't there?
A lot of distraction. So it's really, I've spent a lot of time this year going back to strategy and being extremely strategic. If there's one thing I know for financial advisors and anyone in financial advice right now, time is of the essence. So if we're going to use it extremely wisely and place it where you're going to get the most value from it.
What are some of the things, or what was any cool stuff that you saw that were successful for practices?
Yeah, I feel like those that got into nurture campaigns and really developed the email campaigning. I feel like those people that bettered down their avatars, their the personas of the client base that they were looking for. I feel like they have got a step ahead of those that haven't invested that time. I think to this day, I still go and sit with new clients and I go, okay, so tell me a little about the people that you serve. And they start telling you about, hey, I deal with Gen Ys. And I'm like, okay, so I know loads of Gen Ys. I wish I was one, but I'm not. And I don't know too many of them that are identical. So tell me a little bit more about that person. And often they struggle with it. It's a real issue for a lot of advisors, for a lot of practices in general. So I spent a lot of time around really getting to know the people you want to actually do business with. And are they actually, in fact, in your business? And the difference between those avatars and the niche, everybody you talk to is, I've got a niche, okay? But does your niche actually serve the people you are here to serve? And
what do you mean by that?
Well, for instance, I was talking actually to an advisor today, and he has a lot of small businesses in his practice, and does a lot in his area with small businesses. But I said to him, well, where's the service that's unique to that? Oh, well, we niche with small businesses, but where is the unique service that makes me as a small business owner only want to deal with you? And he couldn't actually.
What was the unique proposition?
Yeah, he couldn't articulate it. He just felt because he had a large percentage of small business owners in his client base that therefore that was his niche. And I said to him, that's not how you serve them. You might be giving them the best advice you can possibly give them, but how is that going to create a culture of people that are going to want to see you as that influencer, that you're the go-to guy for small businesses in your area? So
opposed to just a surface level label, it's like, what are the things that you could differentiate between you and another business and what you do?
Exactly. So USP, or your value proposition, has become quite important, but sort of drop the lingo. Like, actually really identify what it is that you really want to do for your clients and actually make sure you're delivering it. So now he's sitting down and he's putting together a kit for startups and he's putting together,
a gift sort of thing.
Yeah, well, it's not so much a gift, but it's like, like a little portfolio. So when you come and sit down, hey, I know it's only your first year or your second year in business. Why don't we talk about these things? And here's a little checklist for you of all the things that you probably should go away and do as a new business owner. Yeah, nice. And he also he has his wife work in his practice, and he said to me, well, a lot of the small business owners I work with are, husband and wife, or, they're partners, have business partners with, their external partners. And I said, well, why don't you create a top 10 list and create an affiliate with, an estate planning lawyer.
Yep.
And so then he's going, but how is this about marketing? And I went, can you not see the connection? So it's really sort of like debunking the myths around,
It's, I suppose, an education process.
It is. And they're learning so much more about themselves, and suddenly they're understanding that there's actually opportunity in the business they already have. Instead of sort of doing lead campaigns on Facebook and spending a bomb, maybe work with the client base you've got, because they're already your raving fans, and then ask them to be your ambassadors and actually create that leverage from there, which is kind of what you guys have done. The XY community is, grows because people talk about you and talk about the work you do. Yeah. Wow. Well, not you personally, Adrian.
Oh, it's good. Don't want that. There's much better things to talk about.
No, but you get what I mean. I mean, that's
totally
how you grow a tribe. So, and of course, then we look at what their universe should look like. So, does Facebook suit them? Should it be more LinkedIn? Is it video or is it blogging? What works for them? So we're starting to put the pieces of the puzzle together very strategically, more in line with, because everybody's doing Facebook, I should too. Or because I need to be on a part of the conversation, so I'll do Twitter. Well, yeah, but where's the value? Is there a value in you using your time? Because that's your biggest commodity. If it's not worth it, don't do it.
And that's, for example, maybe just LinkedIn for you.
Yeah.
That suits your
Look,
focus,
it's probably more than just saying just LinkedIn for you. Usually you would run 2 profiles. Very rarely you'd ever do less than 2 profiles. So you might go, you know what, LinkedIn works for you, but there's really good business conversation on Twitter, but it's at 8 p.m. at night. So that's, are you capable of maintaining that conversation at 8 p.m. at night?
Do you want to do the chat that you got to do?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or, if you're not going to do that, then outsource it, but be strategic in the way that you do that. Buy into it.
Well, that's the challenge, I guess, with the gap between what is a good strategy and the execution. Correct,
which is probably one of the biggest issues that, as in the type of work I do in marketing and digital marketing I have, is that, you can have the best strategy in the world if you don't take it off the bookshelf or take it, implement it off the laptop, then it's worthless.
Totally.
So from my perspective, it is about consistency and it's about quality.
What are your thoughts on video?
I love video. Absolutely love video. I think video is
Do you think everyone should do it?
Look, I've literally seen people melt in front of the camera and go into deep sweat. I try and work very one-on-one with them, so they kind of forget that the camera is there. But look, it isn't for everybody. And I think it also depends upon the role that it plays in the type of strategy that they're putting out there. So sometimes an incredible image can be just as powerful with the right wording, but there's probably more of a shift to video than ever before. The superhighway called Facebook is just littered with it these days. So if you're going to do it, then you really need to do it well.
Definitely need some captions as well, don't you?
Look, captions can work for you. I think it's just where you're using them. So, for instance, if it's, if you're doing it as a paid campaign, then I would caption it. If you're doing organic stuff and you're just building your profile, look, you don't necessarily need to. You actually want the click-through. So, it just depends upon what's happening in the video. So, yeah, captions work, definitely. LinkedIn's heading into LinkedIn Live.
Yeah, I heard that.
Jury's out.
Jeez, that's going to be a bit worrying with some of the people that... so maybe you have to unfollow a few people.
I think the reality is that there are certain types of people that will do and use video, and they will do and use it wherever they are anyway. I think you'll get a couple that will have a go at it and either succeed or bomb, possibly a few more bombs, but
well, that's what the algorithms are for, aren't they?
Yeah, and look, the reality is if you're only turning up to LinkedIn for the first time in 2 years, then all the live video or all the video under the sun is not going to make a difference straight away anyway. So the algorithm picks up your consistency. It picks up whether you're there frequently.
Okay, does it?
So
it's always interesting to wonder what is the
Yeah.
algorithm and what it's doing. Like one of the things for XY, for example, we go to put links in the comments now because they don't like external links.
No.
So it's like, yeah,
they're a little more forgiving if you have your Facebook profile connected to an Instagram account. So Facebook will go, well, you know what, you're leaning in, you're using the Instagram, our sister part of the food chain, we're okay with it. I think it just gets down to, you've got to be a little bit crafty these days if you are wanting organic traffic. Yeah, you've got to be very crafty.
So talk to people like Jenny.
Yeah, definitely.
You talk about Instagram. So
Yes.
have you seen many advisors doing that? And
It's growing. It's really
is
cool.
it a good place to be? What do you reckon?
Look, I think it just purely depends upon your avatars, your personas, the people,
Yeah,
your
totally.
clients. There's no point in going there if your clients aren't there, or unless you just want to buddy up with people, of course. But there's, then it's going to take a lot of your time.
So if we were going to talk about like what sort of, maybe if we keep it simple around age brackets, like if you've got a younger client base, like so maybe under 30s that you're targeting, is that
Yeah, look, definitely.
Snapchat or something?
Look, I haven't seen Snapchat work well for professionals yet. I think they've got a lot of work to do in that space. And I think as an individual, so if you're not, so much you as, XY financial advisor, I wouldn't be sort of doing that, but be a person and on Snapchat and certainly manage your profile according to this is what my day looks like.
Yeah, okay.
But you got to drive them and send them somewhere else for the rest. Look, I'm a bit beyond age brackets because right now
everyone's everywhere. sort of
everyone's
thing?
everywhere. Yeah, so I mean, women will gravitate to certain profiles and platforms than others. Guys, my husband, hello darling, I know you probably will listen to this. He's Instagram
Great dude, by the way.
crazy. Thank you. We thank you very much. He's Instagram crazy. He loves Instagram. And I said to him, did you see that thing that went up on Facebook? And he goes, I couldn't tell you the last time I checked Facebook. Okay. And he's definitely not under 30.
Yeah,
so
totally.
you've got to, again, this is really researching, testing and measuring the platform and the content.
That it resonates with your market.
Exactly. So that will make a very big difference overall to the way people will, respond to you. So resonance and relevance is the key to everything, and there's
so like
no
beta
master.
testing as well.
Beta test everything. We're doing that actually with a client at the moment, but we're doing it via an email campaign and then following it up with a belly to belly experience.
Yeah. Okay.
So that people they want to look into the whites of the eyes of their raving fans and see what they actually feel, about the campaigns, one of the campaigns that we're running, because it's quite a very targeted, very specific campaign on aged care. And it's probably not, and some of it's a little bit brutal in some places.
Okay. As in really sort of confronting triggers.
Yeah, it's very case study driven.
Okay.
And one of their clients
of the bad things that can happen.
Yeah, where
I guess in the context of is it the Royal Commission for it?
Yeah, well, there's a Royal Commission into aged care right now. So, and that's top of mind. I mean, we're fickle in the respect that, every man and his dog has been talking, even, the grandfather and the father talking about Royal Commission into the banking sector and financial services sector. You have that same conversation with people today and they go, it's all about aged care, or it's all about the changes to the policy and Nauru, and we've all moved on.
Very seasonal, isn't
it?
Yeah,
we're fickle. Where it's what's the burning imperative today will not be the burning imperative tomorrow. So
for that client, it's quite an opportunity, I guess.
Yeah, and he wants to know whether or not that need is really there for his other clients in the way that it had been for this client that he had to do a great deal of work for. Well, I say he, it's actually she, but she said to me, Jenny, I never want to see another one of my clients go through this again. So we've developed a really unique campaign. Now, that won't even go on social media. We'll do a light version of it in the respect that we'll talk about it in an avatar story through social media, but the depth and breadth of the campaign that we're actually using through email, that won't make it to social media at all.
Okay.
And there's a reason for it, because it's just not the right conversation.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, okay.
So, but in the same token, we need people to know that this is something this lady advisor is more than capable of helping them with. So we're using this little focus group and this email campaign as a way of testing and measuring.
Yeah, nice. I like it. Very cool.
Yeah.
So you're talking about sort of like, obviously we talked about some of the stuff that you do it with, but back to basics around communication.
Yes.
What would you say, like, advisors in general need a bit of... What are some of the challenges in the way they communicate what they do?
Language is probably the biggest one. Not so much of... Anyone that's been in business under 10 years, in advising under 10 years, I find is relatively good at managing the language.
What do you mean by the language in terms of...
I mean not industry-focused language, talking in language that the average person is possibly going to use. I do feel that it's... that we think we educate the consumer, but we really don't. And I feel that, some of the most successful campaigns I've seen, it's not so much dumbing it down, but speaking in a language and in a way that the people they want to work with understand. Okay. And that's, again, commonality. So you're
talking about like the tone of...
Tone is one thing. The other thing would be... we refer to budgets and, and things like that, but I don't know about you, but there's not too many people that sit across the dinner table and go, and did you tick off the budget, honey, last night over that money we spent on a new roller for the gym?
What word would you use?
You would talk about, we've probably spent some money. You've probably spent some money this month that you probably didn't anticipate on spending. How are you handling that money right now?
No reference to budget or the term that you might use.
We've got to talk. The reality is that I've been working in and around financial advice for a very long time, and I have a daughter who's a financial advisor, and none of us ever sit around the dinner table and talk like we're going to tick off our budget, or oh my goodness, the budget didn't allow for me to buy a roller this month, my gosh. We talk about like we've spent more than we
I don't have any money in my bank account.
Yeah. My credit cards come in and holy crap. So I think we have to simplify the language, but not treat the consumer like they're dumb.
No, just talking at their level.
Talk at the right level. And the reality is that you'll resonate. And again, it's commonalities, because even in your business, I'll sit as, as a business owner with my accountant and go, yeah, it was a bit of a high expense month last month. I kind of spent a little more than I should have, and the Amex isn't looking as healthy as it should have. She won't sit there and go, well, it wasn't in the budget, Jenny. She'll sit there and go, okay, so what are you going to do about it? Are you going to go and do a little bit more work, or are you going to trim some spend next month? What are you going to do? So it's the commonality, that's how you build know, like and trust.
Exactly.
Yeah, there you go.
You did talk about your daughter there for
yes,
a bit.
I did.
Haley's a great contributor to the XY Advisor community. Yeah, she's been on the podcast.
Yeah.
Great chick. She's got so much passion. It's great to see. And she's a great example of the transition of people from the support role into advising role.
Yeah.
And I guess I've had discussions with her, and I really what do you see at the moment that's not going on that's really going to... Because we got an issue just in general with people, whether it's guys or girls, getting into advice because of the runway of what the impediments that are in the way of actually becoming an advisor.
Yeah.
You've got that huge education runway.
Yeah.
You've got arguably the value proposition has evolved, and it's still evolving to be a lot more sophisticated, and the skill set to get to articulating that it's a bit of a longer runway, because you're not really just coming in and have simple so-called sales techniques that people used to be able to come into advice and sort of just go, oh, so you say that, and then you get a client. This is sort of like a bit of the stuff that we've been talking around marketing. How do you shape what are you actually doing with clients? What's your upturning your value proposition in like a lot deeper? What can you see to be done to help people get into advice?
There's a couple of things in that. I think that as someone that's part of the Inspire movement with the AFA, one of the critical things I think is getting into high schools and into first year uni students and talking to them about the fact that this is one of the most powerful industries there is. And I don't mean that in that we wield that with a mallet or an axe. I mean that we make such a huge difference to people's lives. And I'm not a financial advisor, but when you look at the outcomes and the impact to people's life that a financial advisor can have, it's mind blowing, to be honest, and life changing. So I think we have to start talking about those outcomes and talking a little bit more about the power of positivity around advice and a little less about let's just beat each other up about financial advice.
Well, I can't imagine the Royal Commission is helping the intake into...
Yeah, I just feel like that we actually have to start championing what we do and the passion that the people that do it, where that's derived from. I mean, I haven't met a financial advisor yet that does what they do purely because they want to make money.
Especially these days.
Especially these days. Oh, yeah, that's another conversation.
Yeah.
But they do it because of their passion for, making a change to somebody, to actually help them, not the done for you method. I mean, certainly there are clients out there that want that approach, but definitely for the life altering thing. And the difference, couple A and couple B, one with advice and one without it, and you look at that life altering moment where the penny drops and they suddenly go, hey, we kind of get now what this is all about, and where they end up, and those life moments they get to experience because they've had good advice.
How do you package that up for the student to grasp it?
You have to tell the story. You've got to just tell the story. If you're not telling the story about the change that advice can bring and the benefit, if you don't tell that story, then they're only ever going to see it for, well, I'm not going to get paid like I used to, and I have to jump through 20,000 hoops now, and I have to do a lot more education, and I got to do a professional year, and I got to do all these other things. Why would I do that? Well, if you haven't got the passion to do those things, knowing that you will make money along the way because there's loads of opportunity out there, and also that you're in it for the life-altering experience that you're about to create. And I don't know, but the energy that comes out of an advisor that's had a good result for a client, it's just like mind-blowing. And
it's some of the coolest stuff on the group when advisors share what a success of the day.
I mean, I look at some of the stuff Ben, when he's had a really good outcome, from one of his workshops, or, he's done some really cool stuff, and voyeuristically I watch this stuff and think, man, that's so cool. You've really done some... These young couple are going to get to where they want to go because of the difference you've made for them.
And he's sharing that story.
Share the story. We're really... we're storytellers now. We have to be. We've got to be.
It's interesting. It's that cutting through to the students. Like, I've presented to a number of university students over the years about financial advice, and they're just not thinking it's that sexy. Like they're sitting there going, oh yeah, it's a bit about investments. They don't grasp what it is, and it's about that story. Like I'm thinking back now, shit, I could have really sort of told the story better than what I did at the time, sort of thing.
Yeah, but I think if you think, Adrian, about a life experience that your client has been able to have because of the work you did with them, and you tell that story, then the people in the room can be... There's only one of two things that can occur. They're either going to be moved by that and think, well, how do I help people make that happen? Or they're going to go, well, that ain't for me, and I'm not going to jump through all those hoops just to do that, because they were never meant for financial advice in the first place.
Yeah, it's definitely something that you need the passion, otherwise you're not doing it.
And look, we are being asked to do more education and, and to take a fairly significant step up in and be recognised as a profession. So we have to behave that way. And that's telling stories about outcomes, and because that's what moves people. If you're sitting down and talking about the level of professional development points you've got to do in 1 year, and the paperwork, or you're not going to...
Saying just sell them the dream and then they'll work out the rest, is that what we say?
But it's also, the funny thing is, I think the reality is, and maybe here's a question for you, did you have a mentor? Sometimes it's actually having the right person help you through that first phase.
Totally.
And look, I mean this industry has some epic people. We have some really epic people. You guys, the XY Advisor community in itself, I love the fact that when the conversations are happening, and I look at some of the questions being asked and I think, oh, that's not really relevant to me. But then I watch the lean in, and they're essentially acting as mentors to each other. Yeah, it's amazing. And that's kind of the coolest gig there is. So,
well, that's sort of, you're asking the question before in terms of about me having a mentor, and when I became an advisor, I did it, but not a specific person, but my peers were my mentor, and that's sort of the start of XY Advisor, really.
Yeah,
we were getting together and just talking about what we're doing and leaning in on each other, and that's collegiate, sort of that tribal group. Seth Godin didn't get it wrong when we at best, we're tribal in nature, so we run best in packs. And the reality is that we all have an element of knowledge and we have a responsibility to share it, because it wasn't given to us for free. So we actually have to pass it on. And I think that's legacy stuff. So you guys are essentially creating a legacy, as the many other people in financial advice are. You're creating a legacy not about product or service, but about knowledge. And that's a pretty powerful, story to tell. And I think, I would love to see more new market entrants as they come in, join, the community, because there's a lot to be learned. I don't suggest that they learn everything out of the group. They obviously should have. Doesn't cover everything, guys. Just a disclaimer.
Yes, the reality is that they need to stress test what a mentor for them looks like. But I've had mentors over the years, and that was one of essentially what I did at the end of last year was went back and went, I haven't had a mentor for about 5 years. And a mentor is like an accountability buddy. They're willing to teach you and invest in you, but you have to invest back, and that's by getting in and getting it done. So that's what I did. Went back and went, I just need to sort of get a little bit of that Jenny mojo back. And bang, there you go.
Dancing in 2019.
Yeah, so, and look, to be honest with you, the decision I made, actually, it was not a traditional path. I went down and that was because I wanted to feel a bit uncomfortable, because you're learning when you're a bit uncomfortable. So that's what I did, and it was the best thing I could have done, really and honestly. And does he kick me in the butt? Yes. He definitely does.
Power of saying that you're going to do something and having someone make you feel guilty about it.
Yeah, and I kind of like, I think there was something that went into the Facebook group about, around Dover. And, I loved the fact that you apologised for shape-shifting the feed because it was outside the rules.
Yes.
And I thought, I loved that because to me that you respected the tribe by doing it, and that's a really
everyone else has to play by the rules. So
well, that's right, and I mean, and it's no different for advisors with their clients and with their own tribes, with their unique tribes. Respect the people that are investing in you because they really and honestly aren't going to follow you blindly unless you invest back. So it's kind of the same principle. It's just sometimes we don't respect terribly well.
On that sort of message, with the Royal Commission, how do you see advisors sort of showing that respect in maybe how they communicate as a result? I've seen a lot of advisors out there explaining what it means and really sort of trying to unbundle and sort of clearly communicate sort of what's going on underneath all this hype that goes off over the top. What are some of the things that you've seen work well, or what you would suggest?
Yeah, look, I guess it depends upon the advisor and the style of advisor. So those that are quite like the technical themselves want to get a little more detailed, but then like their clients like it and respect the detail. Most of the advisors that I've been working with, where they've asked me what my recommendation was around handling questions around the Royal Commission, I've said to them to be honest. Open the door for questions. In other words, give them an element of information that allows them to be informed, but don't overstate. Don't throw negative emotion or positive emotion, I guess, but just give them the facts and then invite them to open the door and come and sit down and have a coffee with you and ask any questions you want, or pick up the phone. There's only one advisor that actually chose to do a video that went to his client base, but when I say he did a video, he did it it was very tight. It was very much about, it is a discussion point. I know that you may be reading headlines that may disturb you. This isn't the type of business that I am. I invite any of you to pick up the phone and come and see me, or I will come and see you. So he went down that sort of road, and he only had one, and he has a fairly substantial business. He had one client ring him.
Yeah.
One. Because they appreciated that he informed. And the same, as I said, with a lot of the other advisors, they just give them the information. Again, don't dumb it down. Don't treat the people in the room like they're idiots, because they're not. But give them the information they're entitled to.
But does that class as ongoing service under this new Royal Commission?
Well, look...
I'm being a bit facetious there, but in terms of...
Models are important right now.
Yeah, it's just... I don't know, Jenny, what do you reckon? Like, it's sort of... It's that... Because it's a very valuable thing that's going on there. Yeah. But if you put it in front of ASIC, they're going to go, meh.
Look, I think right now, the business models that are working and working well have such a strong relationship with their client base that there is no question and there is no issue. ASIC's going to be very, very busy.
That's the thing. These businesses that have even great relationships, it's not enough with what's coming through.
True.
We're talking line items in ongoing service that if you miss, you got to refund fees, just a whole lot of stuff. And if you look at the remediation that's going on, it
is hard. Yeah.
How do you translate some of the value that you're working with advisors on into this line item, I guess?
Yeah. So I think again, this is just making sure, and this is probably an area that we're working on strategically at the moment. So we're still playing a lot of this out. But those that were kind of being very proactive made a real decision to be very targeted and very specific about what ongoing service looks like last year.
Yeah.
So there's already a familiarity around that for clients now. Those that are sort of just catching up and taking, walking through that door, and they've probably got a little bit more hard work to do. I think the reality is that clients don't necessarily want you sitting at their dinner table very, very regularly. They do want to see and hear from you. So it's translating that into activity that can be a line item, and that's obviously looking at, EDMs. Video is going to obviously be more important. I'm seeing a lot more evolution of YouTube channels, things like that. The colloquial stuff like the nurture campaigns, in other words, where you're educating them on a unique topic, they can't be pop-ups anymore. They have to actually be factored in so that,
you have to track it.
You have to be able to track it and identify it. And you also have to know that you are getting the breadth of your base, not just 10 or 20% of your client base, which unfortunately is kind of where a lot of advisors service that 20% and the other 80% when they can. And I'm probably already hearing and seeing a whole heap of people roll their eyes and go, no, Jenny, we service all our clients. I'm sure your intention is to do that. It's what does your client feel? So feedback loops are going to be incredibly important. So
that's sort of surveying of the clients.
But a survey that doesn't feel like a survey. And really, I think this is where we're going to start to see email come into play in a whole new way.
Because it's such a measurable...
It is. And I think, the reality is that targeted campaigns into, video and YouTube channels and things like that, and certainly around having private groups where they can do a Q&A Friday, and there's some advisors out there that are doing that so incredibly well right now. And look, if you're not doing it yourself, for everyone out there, if you're not doing this stuff, look, this is the power of this, of what you guys have built, and really the power of where I see the culture of financial advice going is that advisors are so much more willing to help each other now. There was probably an era there where it was kind of like, you've got to protect your patch. Everyone's a competitor. The world's your oyster. My God, there's plenty of people to give advice to. So I think it's now we've kind of got to go and not mimic those people, because I don't suggest you do that. You need to, but look at how they're doing it and how can you adapt that to suit you. And if you don't know how to do it, go and get help to build it. You can go and implement it yourself. I'm not telling people to, go and spend money unnecessarily, but be really structure it. Because if it's structured, then you can replicate it easily yourself. And secondly, it's easier for you to track. Yeah,
totally. Well, these podcasts are a great first step. The Facebook groups is a great first step. But if you find you can't, you're not quite implementing what you would like to implement off the back of that, that's when you can go and see people like Jenny.
Thank you. I hope so.
And then, so for people that are listening to this and going, shit, actually, I should probably get some help. How do they contact you? What are they...
Oh, well, I am sort of like a bit of a social queen, so I am all over social media, so you can definitely find me.
So if you haven't seen Jenny, you're under a rock.
Well, maybe not. But I'm a bit of a Twitter fiend at the moment. So, you can always... maybe I'm one of the few people who are still on Twitter. No, I'm joking. But yeah, I'm Jenny Pearse 1.
Yep.
Is my handle on Twitter. And look, my Genesis Consulting Facebook page is a good place to get me. I'm on Instagram and I'm on LinkedIn and all those places. So you're very easy to find me. I have been developing and beta testing a campaign, a Kickstarter campaign for people that are just putting their toe in the water and to get a bit social savvy. just, some of the basics.
What about other messages? Any other messages? Because you're involved with a range of different things. Is there anything else you'd like to share with?
Look, I'm obviously part of Inspire, which is really about supporting women in advice, and that's not specifically women who give financial advice, but those that work within the framework. We just want to elevate. We want to see more, women working in this in the profession. So you guys have created a good environment for that. But Inspire is really about supporting those people and mentoring in some way.
Totally.
Anyway. So if you're anyone that male and female, we invite all of you.
I've been along to one of the events.
You definitely have.
And I think a lot of...
Actually, I'm pretty sure all of you guys have along the way come to some Inspire events, so you've been pretty good.
We can't resist the invites. A party. But it's good to see a lot of even if you feel, or you're a female advisor, you feel like you got your shit together, it's still... There's always, it's like when you're talking about the mentorship before. It's that sort of thing. Like you're always going to get some value out of it, especially, and that's just a tribe example of it's that female tribe of advisors.
Look, I think the reality is, that you never know who's out there that just needs a little bit of help, and that you might feel like, but I've only been doing this XYZ amount of time. But we all have our unique experience that we can share and can support. And if you don't know how to help that person, you can certainly have a contact or someone within your network that will be able to help them. So I think I kind of feel like it's now time for us all to get a little bit in and supporting one another. And we are looking at actually inviting some gentlemen onto our committee. So, if you're interested, if anyone's interested in joining the, the Inspire New South Wales Committee, hit me up. Because we're really kind of keen to get, we want to make sure that we bring perspective to everything. Whilst this is about elevating women, it's not specifically about most women have had mentors and their support network is both male and female. So we want to make sure that we have balance in that. I think our aim is to try and get a couple of guys on our committee to, create some depth and spread the load. I think everyone's busy, so we'd like to do that. But
guys, reach out. You heard it. They're looking for dudes that are passionate about women in advice.
And look, who knows?
And just advice in general?
Advice in general, yeah. I think we're really, really wanting some support. So if there's anyone out there that's interested, hit me up, because we definitely, would love to catch up, have a coffee or a chat over the phone. Obviously Sydney-based for this committee. But yeah, if you're interested, we'd love to hear from you. Other than that, I'm just about spreading the love.
So, Jenny, thank you very much for coming on. It's been a pleasure.
Oh, nice to catch up, Adrian. I really enjoyed it. I hope I've been able to give some insight.
You have, and I'm sure we'll have you on again.
Oh, thank you very much. I'd love to.